I'm Michael. I like IoT things. I like everything IoT. And yeah, so I've got Twitter on there and you can get me on Slack. So what I'm going to talk to you today about is some work that I've been doing with Python and some sort of different IoT devices. So a lot of you guys probably have played around or seen like these little things, the Wemos. They're just small little IoT devices, turn power on and off. It's all sweet. But what about larger devices? Things that are a little bit bigger, maybe turn off more power. So we've got power stations. They're like IoT devices. They're usually connected to the internet in some form. And they're a large thing. Do they count as IoT? But I don't really care about that. They're small scale for me. What I care about is the NEM, the National Electric Market, or operated by AEMO now. It has all its data published online, and you can access that. And for me, that's a thing. It's still a thing. So that's sort of what I like to play around with. So the data is available publicly on nebweb.com.au. It's a great website, except all the data is in zip files. And inside those zip files are CSVs. And inside those CSVs are multiple tables. So it's a little bit of a pain to sort of process any of this data and do anything useful with it. So I created this thing called nem.mwheeler.org, very creatively named. That processes the data. You can then use it to query it. You can do graphs. You can select specific things. You got power stations. You can pick your favorite power station, see how well it's doing. You can rank all the power stations, see which one's the best. And more importantly, you can get environmental data. So you can see how much CO2 we're putting out or how well hydro is doing compared to solar and other solutions. The other thing I like to do with it is tweet. So one of the things I have are market notices. So if something bad happens on the network, or if something bad is about to happen on the network, they send out a market notice, and it's sort of really annoying to get to at the moment, but by feeding it into Twitter, people can look at it, get push notifications. They know instantly when something's about to happen. So that entire thing is done in Python, but the current implementation is terrible. It was done over 3-4 days. That is a bit of a proof of concept. I'm now redeveloping it in a more Pythonic way, so you can separate some of the tasks out, use the data for your own use. So yeah, if that's something that you're sort of interested in, yeah, you can help out, give me a hand. I have no idea what I'm doing, so yeah, that'd be great. So yeah, that's it.
Any quick questions? No. All right. Thanks very much. It's great. Oh, yeah. A cup for you. Thank you.
I did it for the mug.
All right, this talk is not about Internet of Things. That's the bad news. The good news is it's only 5 minutes long, so it can't be that bad, right? This is called Fear of the Bus. It's about documentation and DevOps and why you should be doing a better job of documenting the things that are in your head right now, because everything is going to go terribly in the very near future when you get hit by a bus. Obviously, that happens all the time. So frequently in DevOps, we are running as fast as we can to keep up with the crazy programmers, or sometimes we're the crazy programmers and we're trying to push stuff out as fast as we can. But no matter what, we don't have time to do documentation. That's ridiculous. The problem with that is that all of the pointers to the information that you have carefully put online are stored in your head. It's like having everything in RAM. As soon as something happens to you, the information is as good as gone. It's just meaningless bits written somewhere that we can't point to it. So if you get hit by a bus, it's all gone, and we don't know how to reconstruct the work that you've been doing. Please don't make us do that, because we're really sad about that whole bus thing. So write it down. I want you to think about what you could do to document what it is you know so that people can replace you, which is a scary thought, but it's not going to be that bad. You won't be around to notice it. One of the things that you can do on a team is make people rotate their duties. For figure skaters, we make them skate in the opposite direction, and they complain about it a lot. But you have to strengthen up your legs in both directions, or else you sort of have one giant leg and one weak leg. Same thing is true for people who are doing multiple jobs. You have to rotate around and spin what you're doing and keep building new muscles. And if you've ever done a push-up program, you know that building new muscles sucks and is terrible, but you're grateful later. Because newsflash, we all work in the corporate world, or not all of us, but a lot of us, and we could be fired at any moment and walked out with our cardboard box of shame and woe, and then nobody knows what's going on. Imagine suddenly you're left with nothing but this blank signal where there used to be a person who knew where everything was. Have you ever had that moment? I have. You're like, boop. So don't let anyone do that. As a documentation person, I care quite a lot about the horizontal and the vertical. As a DevOps person, I don't give a fig what you do as long as you've written it down somewhere. I don't care if you put it on the bathroom wall as long as you tell someone that's where it is. One of my favorite tools for doing this is called Balsamic, because it looks really sketchy and unfinished. People are a lot happier modifying and altering things that look unfinished than something that looks polished and done. So if you're going to do something, make it ugly. Just put it in one long page that somebody can search and pile things on top. Like, just push down the old stuff and pile the new stuff on top, and eventually somebody will search through and find what they need. This is a terrible way to do professional documentation, but it works for this application. Because we have amazing things that you can go through books like this and find specific instances of information, but hopefully not your password, because you shouldn't put that in. That's the one thing. I talked to a team that was using Slack for most of their communication, and they had a designated icon that they put next to a designated emoji icon that they put next to something that should go in the build book. And so they could just search for the icon and find it and put it in the build book. But what matters is you put documentation wherever your team is already communicating. Not that you make them go out of their way, that they have to go out of their way to avoid documenting something, because we're all lazy. And how do you check that you made this work? The chaos monkey. The chaos monkey randomly designates someone to go on vacation for a day or 3. You take away their phone, you lock them out of email. It's as if you fired them, and they are forced to relax, possibly like fruity drinks or something. Something's going to go wrong, something will catch on fire, but it's a drill, and you can fix it because they're not actually fired. You may not be able to build, but I tell you what, the drill you go through is going to be a lot less stressful than when Maria's in the hospital and you really can't get to her because she's doing something more important. Then you've drilled on it, you know what you didn't know. In conclusion, putting docs on your DevOps saves you from having to put a picture of the Hindenburg on your status page because you went down because you didn't know what was going on. You should really try and avoid that because nobody likes it. That is my 5 minutes on why you should be doing a better job of documentation.
I love the thought of allowing developers to go on holidays.
I'm saying. It's a good thing for everyone.
Are there any questions? All right, moving right along.
Okay, horizontally scalable actors in Python. I made this presentation in about 5 minutes before putting my hand up, so apologies for the low quality. There we go. So Erlang, yay, very scalable, based on the actor model and passing messages. Works multi-nodes, can pass messages between nodes, all well and good. Yay. Sad face, OTP, which is the framework Erlang uses. Unreliable past about 60 nodes. It's extremely unreadable, and it's not Python. So I decided I'd try and build an OTP for Python. MQTT-SN, it's a peer-to-peer messaging protocol, very similar to MQTT, but doesn't need to have a centralized broker, and using async IO for all the actor stuff. Ends up looking something like this. So server1.py. Oh, I don't need to look up there. So, yep, import actor, node link. Node link, it sets up a little listening address and an actor which just basically prints out whatever it gets sent via message. Move to server 2. Node link connects up to the previous one, sends hello world. That's going to print out hello world. So, yeah, I didn't quite get to the demo. It didn't work. So that's going to have to be the end of my presentation, but cool.
We can look forward to the demo at the next lightning talk that we have. Any questions? I think we're up to our final lightning talk.
All right, is this working? Excellent. So I've been playing around with MicroPython for a few months now, and always bemoaned the lack of an easy way to get code in and out of it. And a couple of weeks ago, like literally 2 weeks ago, I came across Moo. It's basically a really simple editor for MicroPython designed around education. It was originally written for the BBC microbit, but I've sort of forked it and got it working on the ESP8266. This little device, $5 from China. So I'm hoping that they'll get merged in to the branch, to the main fork at some point. Comes with a file manager, so you can easily drag and drop your files across. You can do it all via the web connection, so you don't actually even need to plug the thing in. If it's working in your ceiling as a temperature monitor, you can do your code via your Wi-Fi. And today I wrote a very preliminary debugger in my spare time. It just runs your code line by line into the REPL, but it lets you actually see what's going on. So you no longer just have to, you no longer have to deal with print statements. It's just a proof of concept right now, but again, we'll see where it goes. And the whole thing is actually written in Python, so you can get in and change it, which is what I found. So I came into this 2 weeks ago. I've never done any GUI programming, and it's actually dead simple just to get in and change it. Qt makes this surprisingly easy. I was sort of scared of it, but yeah, dead simple. We need people to test it, to use it, to play with it, to break it. If you feel like contributing, the forks are there. It looks like, if I can show you, it looks something like this. There's, basically a code pane. This is sort of in debug mode, which I've just thrown in very, very rapidly and haven't added any pictures in. But yeah, you can, Apple. Sorry, I've just started using an Apple in the last week and struggling with it. Not struggling with it, still getting used to it, let's say. Yeah. All right, yeah, that's it. The code is all pretty straightforward. That's it for me. This one. Thank you very much.